It's one of the greatest stories ever told. A young shepherd, after hearing his God be defamed by the giants, goes down to confront Goliath in full battle attire for a duel for the ages. As David approaches the giant, he's scoffed at. "Am I a dog that you come to me with stick?" David, undeterred, continues on his way, passes by the brook, picks up 5 smooth stones, starts swinging the sling, hits the giant right in the forehead. The giant falls head first right towards David, and the rest is history. The giant is defeated. The Bible paints a very vivid picture of this battle, of this confrontation. Where the battle took place, how the armies lined up against each other, Goliath's weapons and armor, and of course how tall the giant was. The question is, after 3,000 years, over 3,000 years, can we actually know what the measurement of a cubit is? Let's find out. Before I start with the discussion today, I just want to preface my remarks by mentioning that I am reading the Bible simply and taking Goliath as a person that actually existed. How tall is Goliath? The answer seems simple. Why not just open the Bible to 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 4, which I have right here, a copy of the Masoretic text. The Masoretic text is the original text of which the Jewish and Christian Bible are based off of today. And if one has the ability, highly recommended to read it in its original, because English translations or any other language translations that matter can sometimes vary greatly from what was initially put down. But there is yet another Bible that was available in the time of antiquities that was called the Septuagint, or the translation of the 70. There's a story for how that was written, the initial one, which we'll make for another video. But the rest of the Bible was written by the Jewish community of Alexandria, and they have quite a bit shorter story than what we have in our Bible today. Here's a copy of the Septuagint over here, and that is found in the first book of Kings. In the Septuagint there is no book of Samuel, rather there is 4 books of Kings, and also, just to completely throw you off, it is chapter 16 verse 4, and in that version it mentions that Goliath is 4 cubits and a span. So what's a cubit? A cubit is coming from the Latin word cubitus. Cubitus means your elbow, and the measurement of a cubit is from your elbow to the tip of your middle finger. Problem solved, right? Except that not all cubits, as there are people of varying sizes, cubits are also of varying sizes. Okay, the next part of this video is very, very technical, and if you are not a technical person and you just want to get to the answers, skip to the minute mark that is marked down below here, and that will get you right to the answers that you want to get to. But for those of you who are technical minded, here are some of the measurements and the different measurements of a cubit that existed. Okay, I'm going to pull out my handy computer here and read away. So the ancient Egyptians had a royal cubit called Me Niswat that was between 20.6 inches to 20.7 inches, or 52.4 to 52.7 centimeters. There's also evidence of a slightly shorter cubit of 20.4 inches, which is 52 centimeters, and a slightly longer one coming in at 20.9 inches, or 53.2 centimeters. There was also a common Egyptian cubit, which ranged from 17.4 inches to 17.7, or 44.4 centimeters to 45 centimeters. This was nearly identical to the late Greco-Roman measurement. The Sumerians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and Neo-Babylonians also used the cubit measurement. It ranged from 19.4 to 19.8 inches, or 49.4 to 50.4 centimeters. In modern Jewish rabbinic literature, the size of an amma is estimated to be 18.4 inches, or 47 centimeters by Rabbi Chaim Nah, 21.25 inches, or 54 centimeters by Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, and 22.67 inches or 57.6 centimeters, from the Chazon Ish. As an interesting aside, I heard once from an archaeologist that the 54 centimeter measurement actually corresponds very well with the archaeology here in the land of Israel. And that, of course, corresponds very well to the opinion of Rav Moshe Feinstein. We have no way of knowing which cubit was used by the biblical authors. But based on all the measurements that we have stated, we can come out to a minimum and maximum height for the famed giant Goliath. A span for our purposes is a half a cubit. Now, to arrive at the measurements of how tall Goliath was, we will take a range. We'll use the minimum measurement that we have established and the maximum measurement that we have established and apply to both 6 cubits in a span and 4 cubits in the span. So we cover the size in both the Masoretic text and the text of the Septuagint. So according to the Septuagint, using the smallest measurement that we have for a cubit, Goliath's height would come out to about 6 feet 5.5 inches tall, or just under 2 meters at 1.998 centimeters. The tallest Goliath could have been, according to our cubit measurements in the Septuagint reading, would be 9 feet 4.4 inches, or 2.878 meters. So according to the Masoretic text, at 6 cubits in a span, the minimum height Goliath could have been was 9 feet 6.4 inches, or 2.886 meters. The tallest he could have been was 12 feet 3.4 inches, or 3.764 meters. The shorter measurement, according to the Septuagint reading, would put Goliath at about 10 inches taller than the average male in the U.S. today. The average height of a U.S. male in 2010 was 69 inches tall. The tallest measurement of the Masoretic text seems to be outside of the realm of the human experience. And only the shortest measurement of a cubit in the Masoretic text could fall within the realm of verified giants in the human experience. The confirmed tallest man in recorded history was Robert Wallow. At his death at 22 in 1940, he stood at 8 feet 11 inches. Medically speaking, people of such immense size usually have health issues associated with their extreme height and die at an early age. The few that we have on record of gaining a height of over 8 feet almost always have a difficulty or cannot walk. That being said, such a height does not preclude these men being healthy. Some of them were actually quite strong. For example, Edouard Beaupré was known as having bent iron bars and was able to lift a horse onto his shoulders. In Jewish tradition, Goliath is referred to as being that perfect human specimen. The scriptures don't give us the age of Goliath at the time of the famed engagement with David, but in Saul's speech to David, he alludes to the fact that Goliath had been trained in the ways of war from his youth. Using Wallow's growth chart, we can see that by the time he was 5 years old, he was wearing the clothes of a 17-year-old. I believe that the Philistines would take advantage of such an asset and begin to train him as soon as he was trainable. Frederick Drimmer, in his book Born Different, quotes a Time magazine report that by the age of 9, Robert was able to pick up his father and take him up the stairs. It is entirely feasible that Goliath could have lived the majority of his life as a warrior if his growth mirrored that of Wallow's. Wallow was strong and athletic for short spurts of time due to the issues with his legs. As we can see, there is a wide range of height, depending upon which version of the Bible that you go with, or the size of a cubit that you go with. That being said, Jewish tradition heavily favors that of the Masoretic text. But in light of the fact that in the human experience, it seems that we have not had men beyond 9 feet tall, it seems plausible that the cubit that is recorded in the Masoretic text would be on the smaller size than the larger size. Thanks for watching.